Well, here I am again. Hey all, thank you all so much for submitting questions to this second questions and answers video. I really appreciate all of you that took the time to go ahead and do this. Now, like last time, I've had a quick skim through the questions and I've removed questions that I can't answer because they're either too inappropriate or they've been asked before, stuff like that, so just, keep that in mind. I will be reading each one out and answering each one as best as I can, and the idea for this video is to just listen. To just maybe listen to it when you're at work, on a drive, or whatever. Listen to the sound of my voice. Now, you may see the camera move around a few times if you are watching the video while I'm recording this, and I may edit things in, but it won't be very much, and hopefully I can get this all done in one take so it's more authentic. I've removed a bunch of questions, as I said earlier. I've trimmed it down to around 40 questions. Now, it is very hot here in the UK right now. Well, I say very hot. It's hot for British people. It's about 25 degrees Celsius. And I don't have AC in this room. I have a portable one, but it's upstairs at the moment. I've had to open a window, so you might hear traffic outside occasionally, and if that happens, I apologise, but I can't really do anything about that. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's begin. What is your opinion on eye and face tracking? I love your videos, from Othello07. Let me bring this a little bit closer. Where's the camera? Oh, it's there. I love eye and face tracking. I don't personally have it. I wish I did, but I don't. The thing is, though, there are no headsets that are really out right now that cover it all. The Valve Index was so successful with VR chat users specifically because it has native Steam VR. It's got amazing microphone. It's got amazing audio. The actual display in it was incredible for the time, but now its age is showing a bit. They're starting to fall apart. If we can just get a headset that has an improved screen and eye tracking and everything else that I've just mentioned, good audio, good microphone, I would buy it immediately. But there's no options like that unless you pay like £2,000 and upwards for. Or there's the Viaro? I can't remember its name. There's like one headset manufacturer that makes a headset that you have to subscribe to, which is ridiculous. Until companies sort of come out with something that is maybe £1,000 to £1,500 that has eye tracking and a better display, I'm not going to change for a Valve Index because I don't really see the point. But I would love eye and face tracking because talking to people that have eye and face tracking, when their pupils just lock onto you when you're in the conversation, when they're looking around because they're feeling anxious or awkward, you can tell from their body language, from their facial expressions. You can tell if their eyes wander, which can be hilarious. If they've got that feature, and I would love that. I would especially love that in these videos because it would add such a nice human element to these sort of videos and to VR chat. But I don't have it, and I really want it. Maybe I'll get a big screen beyond and get a face tracking kit, but as far as I'm aware at the time of recording this, the big screen beyond's face tracking kits, they're not. It's not a complete kit. You can't just buy a one whole complete kit from someone. Your best option is to commission someone to build it for you. Oh, and also if you try and build it yourself, you could easily mess up, and the IR, the infrared sensor for your eyes, if you buy the wrong one and stick it in there, you could permanently damage your eyes. So that's scary. So yeah, I'd rather not try it and hurt myself. But yeah, thoughts on eye and face tracking, very, very, very good, and I want it. But at the minute, I don't really have many options, and neither do other people. But anyway, next question. Before I continue though, why do a lot of these VR headset manufacturers that are coming out now keep making headsets that have no audio or mic. You've got eye tracking, face tracking, but there's no audio or mic sometimes. Why? What? I mean, it's like, oh, we'll save weight. Okay, that means I have to add the weight back on. It's just... yeah, but anyway, that's a topic for another time. Next question. It reads, I am a new furry and have been one for 1.5 years now. I want to go to a furcon hoping to make friends. How much money do I actually need for a furcon? I watched your guide on furcon on the furcons video, but I'm unsure about the budget or unsure about the amount or budget I really need. I love your videos, by the way. Thank you, Lloyd's Golden. That's kind of you to say. It just depends on how much... Okay. You've got to set yourself a budget, and then you've got to, on that budget, look at what's available to you on that budget. Things that are closer are going to be cheaper because of travel costs, and also because of exchange rates. If you're traveling, there's exchange rates. If you travel internationally, you're going to have to pay for travel, and that can get very expensive. Like, for instance, me traveling to the US, it's about £1,000 for that. You know, it's not cheap. But local meets, though, in your country are definitely the way to go. Meets or furcons. Like, the way that you worded this, you said you're hoping to make friends. Okay, if you're hoping to make friends, and that's why you're wanting to go to a furcon, maybe you should consider going to a fur meet instead, just a meetup. Because you will make friends that way. If that is your goal, I would suggest doing that first. But if you're set on going to a con, do one that's nearby. You know, for example, in the UK, there's a con here called Furcation, and that's a really cheap furry con. I don't know how many days it lasts for. I think it's 3 or 4 days, but it's on a camper van site. And it's really cheap. For £500, that can pay for my accommodation, food, and travel. You know, and the con itself. You know, that's cheap. But if I travel to somewhere to the US for a big convention like FWA, it can easily go over £2,000. So find something nearby. But if your goal is to make friends, I would suggest going to fur meets first. Anyway, next question. This question reads, hello, can you read my name as Vulps? Hello, Vulps. What would you suggest to someone who struggles a bit socially, yet still wants to go to conventions or meet other furries in real life? Again, like the previous question, I would suggest going to meets first. Where is the camera? It is over there. I can't see because the OVR window is in the way. There it is. I'll just put that here. Excuse me. So, I would suggest going to meets first before you go to conventions. Now, I know that if you're an anxious individual, it can be a real struggle to just dip your toes in the water. I get that. I really do. I've been in that position myself many times. But the only way to actually change something is to actually challenge it. So, what I would suggest, look in your local area for fur meets, if there are any, and just go. But one thing you can do before you do go, though, is contact a member of staff from the fur meet itself, and then just explain to them, you know, hey, I'm introducing myself. I'm new. I'm a bit shy. I'm kind of anxious. This is my first furcon. You know, any kind of advice or anything would be appreciated. You know, if you start off like that with one of the staff, they'll be more than willing to help you when you arrive to, you know, try and introduce you to people. They'll understand that you're nervous. You know, that's why they are there. They are to keep these things running smoothly, and part of keeping it running smoothly is to make sure everyone is happy. So, yeah, I would approach it like that. Look for local fur meets. See if you can get in contact with some staff from there, and just tell them that you're new and you're thinking about going, but you're a bit nervous. Yeah, and they should help you. When I used to go to the Sheffield fur meets, I stuck to my best friend, Grem, like glue whenever I went. But he was the one who was running them at the time. And he would introduce me to people constantly. You know, he'd make jokes. Hey, this is Vox, by the way. He smells really bad. You know, he'd say something like that, and I'd have to defend myself. And it would make me talk to people. It worked. You know, just that little silly jokes like that. But that's what he was there for. He was there to break the ice. And getting a member of staff with you that can do that is really handy. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. Next question. Are you planning or hoping for anything special for Furality Umbra? Example, adding a costume for your avatar, hoping for particular event/meetup, or hosting a booth, etc. Okay, so as far as costumes go, I didn't make a costume. I set up the Furality shader, though, on my avatar with gradients and zones and things like that, which works well on the actual DJ events, the DJ sets that actually had the gradients or zones in them. But I didn't make any clothes. I don't really have the skills in Blender to do that. I mean, I can do a little bit in Blender. I changed the shape of this character a bit, but Jay, my friend Jay, he's the wizard when it comes to Blender. It's not me. So no is the answer to that bit. Hoping for a particular event/meetup. I really wanted to go to the rikkor meetup, but unfortunately, the time when it was on just wouldn't work for me, so I missed it. I did attend a few panels, like the voice actor panels and things like that, because I was quite curious to listen to that, and they were fun. But most of my time at Furality Umbra was spent in Club Fin, just listening to DJ sets, and a lot of the DJs that went there were actually friends of mine, and it was amazing hearing them and seeing them play, and the club was amazing, and yeah, I had a blast doing that. Shout out to Value Factory, by the way, you were amazing. As far as hosting a booth goes, I mean, hosting a booth, as far as I see it, is more for people who are trying to, like, sell something, almost. Like an avatar or a service or something. That's not really what I do, so I don't think I'd ever make a booth. I have been asked, though, if I do a panel, and the answer is no, because I don't like being on a pedestal. I know that's a bit strange to hear, considering I'm right here on YouTube talking to you all, but I don't actually like being on a pedestal in front of lots of people. It would make me nervous. So, yeah, that's my answer for that, but thank you for the question. Next question. Do you have any pets? Yes, I do. I have a leopard gecko. I will put a video of her somewhere. I'll just edit her in. I've actually answered this before. I've just remembered. I should have taken this question out. But I have a leopard gecko called Nacho. She is about 6 or 7 years old now. She is very cute and very dumb. She tries to eat her own shadow. She lost a fight with a droplet of water last week, which was very amusing. Like, I picked up her water bowl to just put some more water in it, well, after I gave it a clean, and when I put it back, I spilt a droplet of water, and it landed in front of her, and she was just looked at it like hunting mode is enabled because she saw something move, and she just tried to bite it, and it didn't work because it's water. So she just turns her head on her side and, like, does that, like, that way instead, which doesn't work, and it just sort of splashes all over her head. And then it soaks into the substrate then at that point, and she's like, where's it gone? I've never seen someone lose fight with a droplet of water, but my lizard did. She's adorable, but she's an idiot. Anyway, next question. Oh, by the way, if I don't say someone's name when I'm reading these questions out, it's simply because they have not been provided. Fuzzy Animal Girl asks, I would love to know your VRC username. Is it okay if I could know? I've been trying to find you for some time. You're welcome to add me. My name in VR chat is just Vox Draco. Vox space Draco. However, I don't friend people that I have not met organically. It's very rare that I will, and there's a good reason for that. I've been burnt in the past by adding more than one person actually who I've just met, who have asked to be my friend, and they've turned out to be kind of stalkerish. So I don't want to go through that experience, so I have to... If I meet you organically and we give off a good vibe, I will definitely friend you. And you can find me in places like Sunday Service or Placeholder Club or sometimes Iowa, big music places, or Hex Fur Fest whenever it's on, Furality. You'll find me in the big music scenes because that's what I like. So if you run into me, come over and say hello, don't be shy. And yeah, if you give off a good vibe, then I am more than happy to friend you. Yeah, thank you for the question, Fuzzy. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Next question. Preferred name 013. Is your avatar having elements of rikkor or token of past memories related to the rikkor community? No, not really. Kind of, maybe. Okay, so big thighs, pattern on the hips, tail, and on the ears. So there's that. That's similar to where rikkor patterns are located. Obviously, the pattern that sort of goes... I mean, this is really common sort of a mask sort of look that a lot of fursonas have, especially raccoons and things. And then they have the different colour going down the chin and down the belly and, different... You've got your gloves and your socks and things like that. That sort of look. That's really common. So that's not really inspired by a rikkor. But I suppose the big thighs and where the actual markings are located are similar. But it's not really meant to be like rikkor 2.0 or something. There is nothing on my main avatar that is from this one, as in there are no assets. There are 0 assets that Genyodoshi has made that is on my main avatar. Everything on there has been either entirely bespoke or is close to it. So the answer is a little bit, but not that much. I like the rikkor community. I like seeing some of the people in there because I still have friends in there, and I try and drop by every so often at their meets, especially the Japanese ones. But it's sort of time schedule. It's become harder and harder to do that as time has gone on, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for the question, Zero. Next question. Will you ever do a video with... Which one of you fuckers did this? Will you ever do a video with that sexy, furry dragon fursona of yours in a lewd situation? From Anonymous Winky Face. Look, I don't promote myself on YouTube or on Twitter as a particularly lascivious person or having a lascivious character. And that's because I am not an overly sexual person. I'm just not. It's not like I'm dead from the neck down, but I'm just not really. The only time I am is when I'm around really trusted people. If I got any art like that done, it would be on an AD account that is never even mentioned on this YouTube channel. That's going to be kept well away. But yeah, it's not really something I've thought about. I mean, look, I think it's great that some people might find, this character attractive enough to ask me that question, I find it kind of, endearing. But at the same time, that's not really what I'm about. So, yeah, I know I've just said that and done a pose. But thank you anyway for that. It's kind of validating to hear that sort of message. But the answer is I don't really have any plans for that. And you know what? I've actually been asked recently if someone asked me, they approached me out of the blue and asked if they could have an FBX of my character, of this particular character, so that they can do lewd renders of it in Blender. Sorry about that noise, that was my phone going off. But yeah, which is surprising. I mean, not completely surprising. I like the little short stacks. I'm perfectly fine with that. I can see it. I can see why people like that. But I have no current plans to do that myself at this moment in time. But anyway, swiftly moving on to the next question. Hey Vox, Luprina here. Hello, Luprina. I just discovered your channel about 2 months ago, and I love your work. They really helped me get into VR chat. Oh, you're welcome. But while on topic, I'm curious about how you got into VRC. Was there a friend that recommended the game to you, or did you get into the game another way? That's a good question. Technically, I was in VR chat in 2017 when it first released. I went to a convention, it's like a furry day out thing that was in London in a place called Croydon at an event called Barcade. Shout out to Saint Panic, by the way, because the Barcade is amazing. He's the guy who runs it. And whilst I was there, all the way back in before the pandemic, before the dark times, when I was there, I saw an Oculus CV1, and I tried it out, not really having any experience with VR. I put it on, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I have to get one. And literally the next day when I got home, I went and bought one. And then I went in VR chat, and I didn't make any friends because I was too socially awkward and shy, and I quit. But then, my best friend Grem, like 2 years later, he bought a Oculus Rift S, and he's like, hey, I'm thinking about using this for streams and stuff. Do you want to join me? I was like, hell yeah, I will. And I got an Oculus Rift S myself as well, because the CV1 was quite... I mean, it was a bit... It was a side grade, kind of, but I thought that the inside-out tracking was really cool, so I got it for that as well. Got the CV1, so I got the Oculus Rift S, joined him in VR chat, and I ran into someone that Grem has known for a long time, but I've only known for a distance. Someone's called Spunky Raccoon, and through him, I met Azra and Rio. Rio is now Grem's partner, and from meeting those two, everything just took off and exploded, and I met a huge amount of people, a big, vibrant community, and that's how I sort of got into it. So I blame Grem for all of this, and you should all blame Grem as well. But anyway, that's a good question. Thank you for that. Next question. Very random question, but how do you feel about the science fiction genre in games, books, and movies? Do you play any sci-fi games, or have you read any books or stories that feature said genre? P.S. Stellaris? Question mark? Anyone? Question mark? Okay, so Stellaris, good game, got it, I played it. I played it in multiplayer quite a bit. I didn't complete it though, because I find the game is just so bleeding complicated. It just makes my head spin. Well, I did at the time. Maybe I'll try again. But I did enjoy it when I was playing with multiplayer. As far as science fiction goes, for those that know me, I love Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000 is amazing. I collect Adeptus Custodes. I've got some Ultramarines as well. I've got loads of books. I'm currently reading through the Siege of Terror books. I've read all the Eisenhorn books, the Ravenor books as well. So if you recommend books, by the way, because you mentioned books on there, the Eisenhorn Warhammer 40,000 books are excellent, and I highly recommend anyone, even if you're not a Warhammer fan, just pick up those books. They are so good. I like Star Wars, not like massively. It's there, I enjoy it. I've watched the movies, played the games as a kid, you know. But as far as the genre itself goes, yeah, I like it. I like sci-fi stuff. I like sci-fi. I like grim, dark sci-fi though, like dystopian, the world, the universe is coming to an end sort of nonsense, like Warhammer 40,000. That's sort of my preferred way of doing it. But yeah, I like sci-fi, and Stellaris is a good game. So yeah, there you go. There's my answer. Next question. Hello Vox, I have 2 questions, if that's okay. That is perfectly okay. Where is the camera? There's the camera. I would like to join VR chat at some point, and possibly the furry community. I have a fursona in mind. What worlds would you recommend for newbies? Also, your OC is so adorable. Pardon my cheesiness, but whenever I see your character, I want to give him a big, gentle hug. Would you ever make a plushie of your avatar? I love your videos. Unrelated, but you and your friends seem like cool people I would like to hang with, and I hope that I get a chance to meet you all in VR chat someday. I'm also a metal fan too. You don't have to read this part, but I prefer if you kept my name anonymous. I just wanted to be sure. If you haven't submitted your name in the question, I can't see your name. I don't see your email address. The email address for the Google verification thing, that is purely there to reduce spam. So don't worry. I can't actually see it. Okay, so Thank you for the compliments, by the way. That's sweet of you. So, recommend worlds for newbies. There's a world, if you're brand new to VR chat and you want to pick out a furry fursona. Prismic's avatar search. Prismic's avatar search. Go there first. You can find lots of furry avatars in there. It's an amazing world for that. As far as like just worlds to hang out in and maybe meet people, there's a good world called No Time to Talk. No Time to, as in spelled TWO. And that is a world where it like shoves people into basically a situation where they have to talk to each other for 2 minutes at a time. It's a good way to actually just break the ice with people and get to know people and maybe make some friends. Murder. I'm not just saying murder for no reason. The murder games are really good by Jar. I would say Treehouse in the Shade is a really good one. Exoplanet Journey is really good as well. I've got to be careful when I'm saying these words because I don't know if you're going to be playing on a PC or not. Because there are some worlds that I highly recommend that you can't play on a Quest, such as the Twisted Whisker. That is the best karaoke world in the game, by far, in my opinion. You can't actually get in there on a Quest, unfortunately. But there is a world called there's like a Quest version of like the same synchronization that Jay's Twisted Whiskers karaoke system uses. It was actually made by the same person, well, alongside the same person, called C Major 7th. That's a good karaoke world. Let me actually bring that up, because a lot of people do go there. If you want to go to a karaoke place that is not reliant, that's not PC only. It's called, I think this is it. Yeah, it's called Karaoke in Sync 2.0. And yeah, it's made by a guy called C Major 7th, and he's actually a friend of mine as well. He's a really good guy. He's very clever. He made a Quest version of a karaoke world that is also synchronized, which is pretty awesome. What else would I recommend? There are some worlds that are really good, just sort of experiences. There's one called Treasure Heist. That's really cool. It's just an experience sort of world. It's got a few puzzles and things in there. Going in there with a few friends to like do them is awesome. And the visuals in there they're amazing. Obviously there's the Fate of the Herbloss as well, but that's I don't think that's a Quest compatible world. But I would start with those, honestly. Yeah, Treehouse in the Shade, The Murder Worlds, No Time to Talk, Prismic's Avatar Search, and then you can sort of you can visit like the really popular worlds that are sort of like always trending in the VR chat variety thing, which doesn't make much sense, really, does it? There's another good one out there which hasn't been out that long, called YTS 2.1, which is like YouTube search inside a VR chat world, which is what just happened to the skybox. That was weird. Among Us is in this game as well, like a fully working version of Among Us in VR chat, which is amazing. If you want to go to places that a lot of new people tend to hang around in, like the Black Cat and stuff like that, just be careful of going there, because a lot of trolls like to be in places like that. There's also like the Fur Hub world, where you can meet a lot of furries. And there's a furry hangout world that's quite popular that I'd also recommend. Let me just bring it up. No, that's not how you spell furry. There you go. It's literally just called Furry Hideout. And in there, there's, you go in there, there's loads of public instances open already, I can see. And there's like 400 people across all of them. And that's a good way to meet other furries. So, yeah. Those are the places I'd start. Sorry if that's a bit of a not well strung together answer, but those are the worlds that I would recommend. You also said maybe one day I can meet you in VR. Again, I've already listed in this video places I'd like to hang out in. As far as having a plushie of this avatar, you have no idea how many times I've had people ask that. It happens so often. It's cute and it's wholesome that people ask me that, but getting a custom plushie made is very expensive, so I don't know if I will anytime soon. Anyway, next question. This one reads, you never answered my question. How did you find the courage to come out as British? I don't need courage to come out as British, okay? I don't know how to answer this. I don't need courage. Why would I need courage? What's so bad about being British? Okay, that's a stupid question. There's a lot bad about being British. Maybe I have no shame, and that's why I just came out as British. I just have no shame whatsoever. Anyway, moving on. What was the most memorable... Oh, sorry, this is from Airwolf, and it reads, what was the most memorable, in a good way, moment in VR chat you've had so far? That's a good question. I think the most memorable moment I've ever had was several years ago. It was a few days before or after my birthday. Grem was in VR chat, and he said to me, hey, the Twitch world that I've got, I've updated it. Do you want to come and see? Oh, yeah, sure, let's take a look. And I went with him, and Rio was in the world for some reason. That should have been my first warning sign. But Grem showed me, oh, yeah, I've made these little changes here. I was like, oh yeah, those are great. Well, I've made a few changes here. Oh, yeah, that works. And then he took me to an area of the world that I have never seen before. And it was just this big open room, and there was a button on the wall. And when I moused over it, or hovered over it, it said, Happy Birthday, Vox. And I clicked on it, and all the walls disappeared, and it was just like this space sort of outlook. This space sort of background, and this big picture, a hand-drawn picture of myself, Grem and Rio, of me like sitting on Grem and Rio's shoulders, would just appeared in front of me. And the song... Might You from My Hero Academia, which is a really powerful song about how no matter the distance, people, no matter the distance, we will always try and help you. We will always come save you. That's sort of the theme of the song. It's about helping others in dire situations, being there for others. And that song played, and this big picture appeared. And it brought me to tears. That's the first thing that pops into my head. Thank you, Grem and Rio, for that, for making me cry. But they were happy tears. But that's the first thing that came to my head. Gannen did something very similar to me not that long ago either, where he took me to a world of his and pressed a button, and there's some commissioned artwork he got of the two of us, and music played, and that was also again really, really sweet. Those are the two things that pop into my head immediately. But yeah, thank you for the question. That was a good one. Thank you, Airwolf. But anyway, next question. What are your opinions on FNAF or any horror games? Do you have any favourites? From Damon. FNAF. I don't really have a strong opinion on it, to be honest. It's okay. Yeah. I mean, it's popular for a reason. It's got interesting characters, and it's got a lot of lore and things like that. But it's never really captured me that much. I'm sort of neutral on it. I think it's an okay game. I played the first one a little bit, but it didn't really capture me. But as far as horror games go, I like horror games. I really liked Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I liked... what's the other one? Outlast was really good. I like The Devouring here in VR chat. That's a really good game. If you've not played that before in VR chat, I highly recommend playing The Devouring. That's a very good game. And no, it does not include anything about Vor, before anyone thinks that. It's a really, really good VR chat game, and it's very old as well. That game was made before Udon was a thing. It was built entirely on the whatever world makers use without Udon. It's very clever, and it works really well, and yeah, I highly recommend that. But when it comes to the genre itself, if I want to go play a game to just relax, I'd rather go play Final Fantasy XIV, or I don't know, I'd go play Gunfire Reborn or Helldivers or something. It's not really my go-to genre. It can be good. not really my thing. So that's the sort of the most honest answer I can give. Anyway, next question. And thank you very much for the question. Katana the Crux here. What's the oldest VR system you've used? Sorry, I couldn't think of a better question. No, that's a good question. That is a good question, without a doubt. So, funny you should say that. The oldest VR system I have ever used, I suppose, in technically, do you remember those Nintendo, what are they called? Joy-Cons? No, not Joy-Cons, that's a controller. What are they called? Hold on, I have to look this up now. OVR Advanced coming to the rescue. So, Nintendo VR, go. Virtual Boy, that's it. Nintendo Virtual Boy is technically the oldest thing I've used for VR. A friend of mine from Sheffield owns one, and I got to try it one day. And this was way before proper VR that we have now. It didn't really impress me that much, to be honest. But the oldest system I own is a dev kit for the original Oculus that I took from my old workplace when the building and the company was bought out. They were going to throw loads of IT equipment away. So I took that because, hey, it's a piece of history. I also stole a 27 terabyte NAS, 3 iPads and 2 laptops. But anyway, and 2 servers. But they were going to go in the bin. They were literally going to be destroyed, and I decided to take them. And I now use that server. It's down there next to my actual PC. I'm pointing like you can see it, but it's still in use. I like virtualize stuff on it just for testing things. But yeah, that's my answer. It's weird how that answer played out. You asked me what's the oldest VR system I've used is, and now I've just kind of admitted to being a thief. But anyway, moving along. 2 questions for you, Vox, if you don't mind. First, what do you think of Doctor Who? And second, there's been a lot of articles lately about how people need to cut back on social media usage and instead connect with others in real life. Do you believe this applies to VR chat? Okay, so first off, the question about Doctor Who. I am not a fan of Doctor Who. I never have been. And I know that saying that out loud, I'm half expecting Queen Elizabeth's corpse to come and knock down my front door and throw me out to sea or something. But, a British person not liking Doctor Who, shock horror. I'm just not a fan. I never have been. It's not my thing. About social media usage, I think little children need to cut back on social media usage, not adults, really. And I don't think that really applies to VR chat that much, because you shouldn't really be in VR chat if you're a child. Now, part of being a kid is that you need to learn to socialize, and that involves being, in a school, being put around other children, learning what's socially acceptable and what isn't. And I think if young people spend so much time just on the internet, throughout their really young years and their early teen years, they're going to grow up in like this echo chamber situation where they think that the opinions that they read online are, and how people treat each other online is how it works in real life, when it really doesn't. Things online, like on Reddit, for example, are usually very black and white, very left-leaning, especially on Reddit, for example. And you're going to run into people in life that don't agree with you, and you've got to be able to discuss it in a civil way. Just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't make them your enemy. There's a reason why people think that the way that they do. There's a reason why people have different opinions, and you've got to be able to ask why they have different opinions and try and understand each other. And the internet does not leave room for that very much. So for that reason, I think that kids need to cut down on social media usage, especially if they're quite young. Adults, not so much. I don't think it's necessarily a problem. Unless you literally spend all your time on the internet, then, I don't know, maybe as an adult it can warp your mind a bit. But then you're talking about something that I'm probably not really an authority on, so I'm not going to go into that. What I just said about kids being on the internet, that is an opinion, by the way. I'm not a medical professional, but that's just how I kind of feel. Anyway, that's a good question. I liked that. I liked that, whoever asked that question. Anyway, moving on. Next question. This question says, you have mentioned Grem several times, and he appeared in your trip to Barcelona video and several of your convention videos. How long have you two known each other? I have known Grem for 14 years. I met him where I used to live, when I used to live with my parents, which was over 8 years ago. I am getting so old. My first love, my first career love, my first passion was catering. I love food. I love the smell of it. I like the taste of it, and I especially like eating it. Now, I went to a catering course. I got trained as a chef, but whilst I was there, I met a friend that someone I'm still friends with to this date, and through her, I met Grem, and we've been sort of inseparable ever since. Grem is an amazing best friend. Me and him are very, very close. Like, we have cried together, we've felt grief together, we've felt joy together, we have done a lot of things together. I trust him completely, and I know that he trusts me the same way. He's very wise. He's incredible. He's unfailingly kind. I always say this about Grem. If someone asks me, how do you describe Grem, I would just say he is an unfailingly kind individual. If people think that I'm like good at being a comforting person, Grem is on a whole other level. He is way better at it than I am. I try and learn from the master, as it were. You know, Grem has a very nurturing sort of personality. You know, he for a living, I mean, I don't think he'll mind me saying this because he talks about it all the time on his streams. He rehomes homeless people as a job. People coming in on the street, off the streets who are at their most vulnerable. He helps them get rehomed. That fits his personality so well. He's an amazing guy, and I love him to bits. But yeah, I've known him for a long time. Yeah. Anyway, mushiness aside, let's move on. What is that avatar that Gannen is using? The cat avatar. This isn't even directed towards me. That's fine though. There's no name on that question. So Gannen uses an avatar called a fluffsel. Fluffsel. It's made by a friend of ours called Weasel Robot. He was a really sweet guy. He's always so full of energy. Whenever I go to Play Solar Club, he's always a joy to talk to. And you should check out his YouTube channel, by the way. He does like little wood carvings and things with a chisel, and they're amazing. He's very good at it. But yeah, he also sells avatars and Gumroads, and that particular avatar that Gannen uses has many different variations. You can like swap between them. There's like a squirrel, a saber-toothed cat, there's a skunk, and of course there's like a weasel. But yeah, it has a lot of different functionalities in that avatar, and it is very optimized as well. You know, shout out to him for doing that, because there's so many avatar bases that come out and they're just like, yes, oh great, I've got this new avatar and it's 69,900 polygons. Okay, so I can't add anything to it without decimating it. Great. But that doesn't happen on Weasels. It's got plenty of polygons to spare. But yeah, Weasel Robot Fluffsel is the avatar. Anyway, yeah, moving on to the next question. What do you think the future of the fandom looks like? I think the overall future of the fandom actually kind of looks quite positive at the moment. I think it's growing exponentially, like ever since like COVID. Like, oh my god, the numbers at furcons have exploded. The amount of people that are coming into VR chat, it's just growing every day. It's nuts. I've got some friends that are furries who are like in their 40s, and they were like saying, Like 20 years ago, when they started going to furcons, there was like maybe 1,000 people at a furcon at most. Now there's like 15,000, filling out entire hotels. Sometimes there's not enough room for everyone. It's growing and growing, and that makes me happy. I mean, there's a few negative sides to that, because the demand for fursuits has skyrocketed, which means that fursuits are just ridiculously expensive now. And you know, getting into a convention itself can be harder because there's more people. You know, but it also means that there's new talent, new creativity, and there's lots of new lovely people to meet. So, yeah, I think it's an overall positive thing, you know. But actually, there's one thought that I've just had. The more popular something gets, especially like the furry fandom, it also kind of means the bigger the target. So you might get like, you know, right-wing newspapers and things like that, you know. Oh, look at these weirdos over here, you know, making articles about us and things like that as it gets more popular. But you know what? Fuck them. So, whatever. It's positive. Answer is, it's positive. I'm looking forward to what the future holds. Anyway, next question. Okay, this question reads, can you not brew me a cup of coffee, or are you still stillbacteapot? I'm sorry, what? Can you not brew me a cup of coffee, or are you stillbacteapot? Stillbacteapot. Am I missing a joke? Am I being really dumb? I don't understand what that means. Next question. This one reads, seriously though, have you ever actually done an underwear sniff test? This is a very important question. That was pewter, and no, I have not done it. That was a joke, okay? I don't pick up some clothes and just go, oh yeah, this is clean. No, that's gross. Dirt doesn't smell sometimes. I haven't done that. That was a joke in a video. Oh God, I'm not going to live this down. It's the whole hamster thing all over again. Moving on. This one reads, how many points of tracking do you have in your FBT setup? Oh, okay. Easy. I have Knuckles controllers, I've got the Valve Index, I have a Waist Vive 3.0 tracker, and I've got one on each foot. So, yeah. 3 trackers? 3 Vive trackers, and just the controllers in the head. So just, no, I have the lighthouses, obviously. There's one over there, and there's one over there. So, yeah. I don't need much more than that, I don't think. Not anytime soon, unless something breaks. But yeah, well, thank you for the question. Next question. My name is Asher87. What is your favourite genre of games? What is your favourite game? By the way, thanks in advance. My favourite genre of game is probably first-person shooters. I grew up on Unreal Tournament, Quake 3, the original Doom. That was probably the first game I played was the original Doom. My dad got a copy of it, and he gave me a really old Fujitsu laptop to play it on when I was a kid. I had a little rollerball because trackpads weren't a thing then, and yeah, that was it was the first-person shooter I played. But yeah, FPSs are my thing. Halo. I've got a Halo poster behind me, even though I'm not really that much of a fan, to be honest, anymore. I do like other genres, obviously. I like RPG. I like fantasy sort of settings in games as well. And sci-fi, obviously. I mean, they're not genres, are they? I like strategy games as well. I like roguelikes when they're mixed with other things too. You know, you see a lot of 2D platform roguelikes, but I love Gunfire Reborn. That's a great game. And RoboQuest as well. That's a good game. Yeah, my favourite game, though, probably of all time, is probably the original Unreal Tournament. And that is because I spent so many hours on that game, online and offline, when I was a kid. And you can just mod the hell out of it. I really wish they would recreate that game with modern graphics, but all the same sort of customization and functionality as the old one. But Epic are not going to do that because they're too busy milking Fortnite for all its money. And for all it's worth, rather. So, yeah, that ain't going to happen. Anyway, next question. Right, I've had to re-record this particular question. The question says, "Good day, would you kindly introduce those who you meant by anyone else that films with me?" So, this person didn't leave their name, but what I assume they're referring to is like the other actors that I have when I make shorts and videos. I can't exactly introduce them here because they're not online, and organising like an evening with them all where I can introduce every one of them would take quite some time to organise and get everyone together. So here's what I'll do. For this question, I'm going to make a separate video. I will make a video purely dedicated to those who have helped me get where I am and helped me film, you know, as being actors or had any input on my videos or anything like that. And I'll get them in, I'll get them in a video and I'll have a little introduction to each of them. So that's what I'll do. So stay tuned. This question will be answered, but it will be at some point in the future, near future. That's how it's going to have to work, I'm afraid. But thank you for the question. Anyway, on with the next one. Okay. Next one is, if you had to change your fursona species to something completely different, which one would you choose and why? Oh, that's a tough one. Hello, tracking. Oh, there we go. That's a good question. I like sharks. I know we're like at a beach world here, but I like sharks. Let me think. Maybe a cat of some kind. I like dragons, though. I've always liked dragons and scalies. That's sort of always been my thing. I know for a time I was a rikkor, and that sort of inspired me to do like a small dragon. But yeah, probably either a cat or a shark of some kind. But yeah, that's a good question, though. But yeah, that's my answer. Next question. Hi Vox, my name is Milk. Hello Milk. Where's the camera? Hi Milk. And my question is, what countries have you been before and what languages do you speak? What am I standing on? Oh, it's a letter. I must have dropped it off on the floor. Yeah, I dropped something on the floor. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. ADHD brain's doing its thing. I only speak English. I don't speak any of the languages. I am terrible with languages. As far as countries that I visited, so England, obviously, Wales, Germany, France, Saudi Arabia, Crete, Canary Islands, Dominican Republic. I've been to the US. I've been to Tunisia. What else? Malta. I think that's it. I can't remember any others off the top of my head. You notice that I've missed Scotland off this list. Even though it's not that far from me, it's like a 3-hour drive north. I still haven't been there yet. I don't know why. I really should change that. Maybe go to ScotiaCon at something. ScotiaCon or something at some point. Well, yeah, it's a good question. Thank you, Milk. Next. My name is TARDIS. Hello, TARDIS. Have you ever had your cable or VR malfunction in the middle of an important or fun hangout, but then it's... Let me start that again. Have you ever had your cable or VR malfunction in the middle of an important or fun night, but then that malfunction completely ruins your mood /night /evening? If so, what happened? The first Q&A video I was recording of this, my cable broke. If you go back and view that video, it was on the fritz already, but it just during that video just decided to die. I crashed and then it was gone. Luckily, I had a spare because I knew it was on the way out, so I bought another one. I've had I had one evening, this was a long time ago, where on my desk over there somewhere, my router was like right next to its table, right next to the leg of the desk, but it was like on the outside of it. And I knocked a glass of water off the desk, and it spilled onto the router whilst I was playing VR and just completely killed it. Luckily, I had a spare router that was already completely pre-configured, because I have to have a spare because of my work, because I'm on call all the time. Well, not all the time, a lot of the time, and I have to be available to hop on and fix things if necessary. And I can't have my router just die and then, I can't do any work for the next week because my router's gone. No, my workplace wouldn't really accept that. So I've got a spare router. But yeah, is my tongue sticking out? I've got this weird thing on this avatar where I blep a lot by accident. Anyway, yeah, so that's the only time I can think of that happening. It is really demoralizing though when something breaks in the middle of the night and you really want to get back into VR and you just can't. It's incredibly frustrating. I know several friends that have had that happen to them, so I've just realised one of my avatar's options was not turned on then, but now it should be. But yeah, that's all I can think of. That's the only instance. But thank you for the question, Dardis. Next. Have you ever had any weird or uncomfortable questions and interactions about your avatar? If so, can you tell us a story? I do have several, actually. So, do you remember what I said earlier about I don't really friend people unless I meet them organically and I think we've got a good vibe? You know, if I get on with them well that way and I get a good sense for how they are, then I'll friend them. It's because I've been burnt in the past, and I'll give a story as to why. So, one of the people that I friended out the blue started following me absolutely everywhere in VR chat. When I was an orange, it was just constant request, like knocking on a door. Are you there? Are you there? Are you there? And it got very annoying. But he kept making a lot of sexual advances to me. He was being very inappropriate all the time. Even though I told him several times that I was straight and he needs to stop, he just wouldn't stop. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was when I was just like, I'll lay down on this. My settee is here. I was just laid down like this, just talking to someone. And he comes up and he just starts doing inappropriate things to my avatar. And I backed off from him like, whoa, what are you doing? Stop that. And he didn't. He kept going. And he literally said no. When I told him, can you stop it? He literally said no. So I told him, if you don't stop, I'm blocking you. And then he kept going. So I did block him. And I haven't seen him since. He has turned up into a few worlds, though, that I've been in before, which is kind of, it can be a bit awkward. I've had people, clip into the floor and take a picture of my butt from underneath me. I've had people that are because some people do mistake me for being like a bottom because I'm short, wide-hipped, things like that. And that's not, it's a stereotype. And I've had uncomfortable passes at me sometimes. But I've also had some things that are kind of flattering, like, hey, if someone says a compliment to me, and it's just because they're a man, I'm not going to act in disgust because they're complimenting you. It's a good thing. I don't understand why some straight people a gay person's coming on to me. Go away. It's just, no, they are saying you're attractive. Why the hell would you get angry at them for that? I don't understand that mentality. But there is a line, though, in the sand where if if it happens too much, and I'm like, okay, I'm flattered, but you need to knock it off because I'm straight, and you just kind of, if you keep doing it, you're just going to make me uncomfortable. 99% of people will just completely respect that, but there is that 1% that just won't. And I've had a few people like that, and unfortunately, as that story I described, was one of those people. I've had people send me messages on Twitter that were very overly sexual as well. That's happened, but I mean, this is just to do with my VR chat. But it's about avatars, though. Yeah, I've had a few. I've had someone ask if I can go to World with them to ERP. And this person was actually a woman, but I still said no because I don't know you. It's just completely out the blue. The thing is, if a woman is flirtatious to me, they can't just come at me 100% because I'll just get spooked, and that happened there in that instance. So it's that's the story. I've had a few, and it's most of the time it's harmless. Sometimes it's not. But anyway, next question. That was a good question, though. Next. Okay, this one is, hi Vox, my name is Zen. Hello Zen. I wanted to ask you if you have any advice for being a commission artist. Oh, okay. I started 6 months ago, but I don't exactly know how to improve my art. I'm asking because you made a video on commissioning artists, so I thought you may know. Anyways, answer it if you like or if you can, but thank you. Hi Zen. Yeah, it's a good question. So, I am not an artist, so I can't tell you how to improve the art itself. However, as a consumer of lots of furry art, and I have a lot of commissions, and I do kind of want to get more. I've been getting the itch to get more recently. One of the things I'd say, and this is a big problem in the furry fandom. Like, seriously, it's one of my biggest problems with the fandom. The complete lack of timekeeping. I've commissioned someone. I've had several commissions when I've done this. I've commissioned people that have been like, oh yeah, it will be done in 2 months' time. 1.5 years later, it's still not done. I'm sorry, but that would not happen in a professional environment. That asks for you. The customer will be wanting their money back. There's this lack of accountability when it comes to timekeeping in the furry fandom, and there are a lot of artists who just seem to almost blame the people who are commissioning them for the reason why they're taking so long. Oh, well, I've got lots of other people that have commissioned me. I've been very busy. Then don't say it's going to take 2 months, or don't say yes to everyone that comes knocking at your door. Wait until your queue is cleared a bit before taking on more. It's not their fault. It's your fault for accepting these commissions. That happens a lot in the furry fandom, and it does make me kind of annoyed. So first off, don't do that. Secondly, I mean, a lot of it's in the video. Just communicate with your client. Obviously, don't get pushed around, though, obviously. Communicate with your client, show sketches, show progress, and yeah, that's the only thing I can really say, but the biggest one that comes to my mind is definitely the timekeeping one. If you say it's going to take 3 months or something, at 3 months, if you still haven't done it, communicate why, but then try and get it sorted as a matter of urgency at that point, because this person has paid you expecting it to be done at this time. That is part of the cost in my eyes. So, yeah. That's all I can really suggest. But as far as improving the artwork itself, I can't really answer that because I'm not an artist. Sorry. But thank you for the question, though, Zen. I appreciate it. Next question. Hey Vox Draco, I've noticed that in some of your videos you'll point out the horniness of other furries, such as the group banners, but in other videos you indicate that it's okay for a person to express themselves. How do you reconcile the two attitudes, and do you worry about the stereotypes of furries being perceived as weird/perverted? That is a really good question. So, first off, the group banner thing, that was a joke. I need to make that clear. I don't want anyone to watch that short and think that, oh, you can't be sexual in VR chat because it's weird. No. It's supposed to be funny, because it is kind of funny and a bit jarring for someone to come up to you nonchalantly and just say, F me daddy, above their head. It is jarring to see things like that, but it's also funny. That's the point I was getting at. It's okay to be horny in VR chat as far as I'm concerned, but obviously it depends on the terms and conditions of the actual game. Furries are not necessarily, in my opinion, hornier than any other group. I think they are just kinkier, kinkier, and they are more open about it. It's not going on behind closed doors, or, well, it is. There are some. It goes on behind closed doors, but people will still talk about it because they're open, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's healthy. And if you're on the outside of the furry fandom and you see that, you'll think that, oh, it's way too much. But I can guarantee you that Dave and Sue down the street who have 2 kids probably are just as kinky as any furry is, but they just are not open about it. I can promise you that's actually the case. And one thing as well on this topic, I think a good reason, this is just me theorizing here, why a lot of people in the furry fandom might be more open about their kinks and things like that, or maybe more open sexually, is it's not an furry thing. It is a LGBT plus thing. And I think they're more open. And I'm saying this from the perspective of a straight guy. I think this because imagine you have been sexually repressed your entire life because being anything other than heterosexual is somehow not acceptable, which I find the idea of that ludicrous. But when you suddenly can express yourself, you will want to. And I think that has led to people in the community being more open about it, which is a good thing. God, I wish straight people were more open about their sexuality of things that they get up to, but they're not. It's more socially unacceptable to do that. And it's a little bit sad in a way. I think the community, the LGBT plus community, they have it right when it comes to that, about being open about this. Because I don't really see the furry fandom itself forcing their kinks on other people or any more than any other group. I don't see that. What I do see is someone from the outside seeing all these people having, big costumes, and then someone saying, oh, they get up to things in those costumes and think, oh, that's so outlandish, that's so weird, they're so perverted. Meanwhile, Dave and Sue down the street are doing horrendous, unspeakable things that are much worse, but no one will talk about that because they're not open about it. It's furries are just a bit more exposed, and I think because of the majority of the people in this community are LGBT plus, you have people being more open about it, rightly so, and I think that's a good thing. But there are lines. Consent is a thing. If you're trying to be open about it to people who really don't want to know, then you shouldn't be. Don't push your stuff on other people without their consent. Don't do that. But the majority of people I know would never do that anyway. So, yeah. Maybe there is a certain level of tact that might be lost on some people in the community where they don't realise that they're being too open and they're being too forward. But I'll tell you this, that is not a furry issue. That is a people issue, and non-furries can be just as bad. So, yeah. So, summarised, the group banner thing was a joke. I think it's fine to be sexually expressive as long as the people are consenting to it. And I can understand why this community, considering the main makeup of it is an LGBT plus community, they're going to be more open because they've spent most of their lives being quite repressed. But being open is a good thing. So, yeah, that's sort of my take on it. But anyway, Next question. That was a good one. I liked that one. That's quite deep. Next. Next one is, are you cute and adorable? That is not a question. That is a statement. No. Stop that. Stop calling me cute. I'm not here for that. I'm here to answer questions. Next question is, would you be okay with giving the viewers head pats right now? Okay. Let me move this camera out of the way. Now, my camera's over here, but it's in local mode, so I have to be careful where my feet trackers are. Otherwise, I'll start clipping all over the place. Here you go. Ba, 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 ba. There you go. There's a... Scratch, scratch, scratch. I'll happily give my viewers head pats. There you go. Hopefully that's enough. I'll bring this back here. There we go. Next question. Do you plan on ever getting a fursuit? If yes, will you go to furry cons? I already go to furry cons, regardless of having a suit or not. I do not own a suit. So if I had a suit of this fursona, it would be massive. So you got to remember, like in real life, my hips and my legs go down here. The width of this character is enormous, you know, and you know it's got this quite big belly. My belly's not that big in real life, and I'm 5'10", so I'm sort of average height. But these proportions on a fursuit that's 5'10" would be absolutely enormous. I don't know where to even begin when it comes to commissioning someone for a fursuit like this. I'm sort of on the fence about getting a fursuit as well, because I'm one of these weird furries that I'm not that bothered about having one. I'm just not. I never have been. I've never had the urge to have a fursuit. There are so many furries out there that really want them, and it's the end goal. I just never have had that urge. I just don't. But if I got one, good God, it would be difficult to transport. I would need like a suitcase for each thigh. It would be ridiculous. There are some like kimono style suits that are like this shape, but the cost would be astronomical. I'm easily £10,000 and above for a fursuit of this character, a good one. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Maybe. We'll see what happens over the next few years. But as it stands right now, it's unlikely. But I would love to debut like a Vox fursuit, just surprise people at a convention, like go to Confuzzled or something in the UK, where most of my friends go when they go to cons, and just turn up in this, and that just shock them. That would be amazing. But yeah, the sheer cost and the logistics. Oh God, it would be so warm as well. It would be so unbelievably hot. So yeah, it'd be great to hug though. I'd hug everyone. I'd let people just hug me all the time because I'd be so squishy. Anyway, next question. Which is better, desserts or cheese? I think dessert, because you can have cheesecake, but you can't have cake cheese. I mean, you're not wrong. I've never heard of cake cheese. Someone may have invented it somehow. You know what? I'm going to open up my keyboard and just quickly Google that. Cake cheese. Is that an actual thing? No. It only comes up with cheesecake. I absolutely love cheesecake. I'd say cheese, though. If I had to pick between cheese or cake, it would be cheese. And that's because, I've mentioned this in my other videos as well at some points, I do not have a sweet tooth. I like savoury stuff. Like, sweet tooth, that is quite... If you gave me a choice between a hamburger or a slice of cake, I'd take the hamburger every time. Well, let's like dumb it down a bit. A slice of cake or a sausage. I'd eat the sausage. I'd not eat the cake. And I just don't have a sweet tooth, unfortunately. I have always been, well, not always. When I was a kid, I eat sweet stuff all the time, obviously, because I was a child, but, kids prefer that. But as an adult, I don't have a sweet tooth. I'd eat the cheese, and I fucking love cheese. Cheese is amazing. Like, oh, God. There are so many different cheeses in the UK. I need to get some more, actually. I think I ran out. I have a small roll of, I think it's called Boursin in my fridge, but I need to get some more. Anyway, slight tangent aside. This person actually asked 2 questions. If you've ever seen it, what's your opinion on Thomas the Tank Engine? Well, I did kind of watch it a little bit as a child, but I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I think it's quite funny when it's used as a meme, especially when it's used to scare the hell out of people in horror games. That's a good meme use of Thomas the Tank Engine. But I don't really have an opinion on it. I've only watched it when I was a small child. I don't really remember much of it. So, sorry. Next question. What's your experience with Garry's mod? I do not actually own Garry's mod. I don't have a copy of it. It looks fun because I remember like Gmod Idiot Box stuff from years ago, and I loved Gmod Idiot Box. Watching those YouTube videos was I couldn't wait until the next one was out. I mean, the guy's not making them anymore, but Gmod's fun. Just the little videos people can make. But I don't own Gmod outside of that. I don't really know how much about it, so I'm sorry. I don't really have an opinion on it. My experience is 0, apart from the videos that I've seen on YouTube, which can sometimes be really good. Next question. This person asks, are you introverted? By the way, do you have any advice for someone who is introverted and has bad social skills? And is it okay that I ask more than one question? I know this is 3 questions, but I have used alt accounts to ask even more because with time I just had more ideas of what to ask. Sorry if I shouldn't have done that. Look, it's perfectly fine. Don't worry. You can ask more than one question. So don't worry. It's okay. Yes, I am quite introverted. Some people that watch these videos and maybe talk to me in VR might think, you're not introverted. I absolutely am. I recharge my batteries by being alone and seeking solitude. That's how I rest. That's how I unwind. People who are extroverted are usually the opposite, where they charge up their social batteries by being with people. I am the opposite. As for advice for someone who is introverted, shy, and has bad social skills, that is a deep question. It's a similar answer to a question from earlier, which was you just sort of have to get your toes wet. You have to have a bit of exposure, and I know it's difficult, and I know it's hard to sort of put yourself out there when you are shy, when you're anxious, and you're introverted, but if you can find someone who is extroverted, who likes you, who you get on with, sticking with them can open up a lot of doors. And that's what I did with Grem, because he is extroverted. He doesn't like to admit that he's extroverted, but he is. And I guess that's sort of the best advice I can really think of, is try and put yourself out there. And if you find someone that has lots of energy, who is extroverted, spending time with them and meeting friends through them is a good way to sort of meet people and build up social skills. That's how the majority of introverted people I know have done it. They sort of stick with others. And there's nothing wrong with necessarily sticking with others as long as the other person consents to it, obviously. So yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, that's the answer to that. Next question. My name be Headcrab. 2 main questions. First, why you look so damn I'm not here to be complimented, but thank you. 2, what got you into making YouTube content? I originally got into making YouTube content when I made my VR chat etiquette video because I sort of just saw a gap in VR chat where people just sometimes have bad etiquette, and maybe I can help with that. Maybe I can make a guide. And something about me as a person, I think you need to understand, is I am someone who likes to enable others to achieve stuff. I said this in my last video, but there's a really good quote that I like, which is that if you treat people how they ought to be treated, they will become what they are meant. So they will become what they are capable of being. And that's a really good quote. And I've always been that sort of a firm believer in that. I want to give people a push to help themselves, and I'm trying to do that through guides. And if I can, for the furry fandom, then I'm giving it a shot. And I also like making, stupid shorts because, hey, it's fun. And that's another thing about this as well. One of the reasons why I make YouTube videos is because it is fun. I don't do this for profit. I don't do this for any recognition. I just enjoy the process. And I like the fulfillment of when I actually do help someone through it. It's fulfilling. And it makes my heart soar when someone comes to me and tells me that, hey, that video that you made, that guide, that helped me. And that makes me happy. That's all I want. Not to be told that it's helped, but the fact that it may have helped someone, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I am an enabler. If someone is struggling and I know a solution, I can try and help myself. If the solution is over there somewhere, but they're too afraid to do it, I will just gently give them a nudge to go in the right direction. That's what I do. I am an enabler, and I will do that through guides to get people to sort of help themselves, if that makes sense. So yeah, I saw gaps in the furry fandom. I want to try and fill them. And I like making these because I enjoy making the videos themselves. Editing is fun most of the time. But yeah. Thank you. That was a good question. That was the last question. Okay. Wow. How long have I been recording for? Oh my God. I can't actually tell from OBS. It doesn't tell me. 43. Oh gosh, no, it's been longer than that. I had to pause the video quickly because I went for a toilet break, so it's probably, oh gosh, this video is going to be so long. I am so sorry for anyone that if it's droned on for too long. But for those that just wanted to just listen, well, you're welcome. But yeah, thank you to everyone that has submitted questions to me for this questions and answers video. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I have many more things in the works. It's just a matter of time. I'm more busy these days. It's con season. I've been to FWA. I went on a big camping trip recently. I've just been really busy. But things are calming down now. I will have more time to do more videos. But I've also sort of noticed, though, this is sort of related to the last question, is videos tend to take longer to make because as my editing skills have improved, it means I want to do more, which then takes longer. So that's a knock-on effect. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in VR or whenever. And yeah, thank you all for your support, as usual. Bye-bye now.